My name is Taylor Abbey, and today I'm going to be talking to you about why you should have your dog on heartworm prevention. And this is my persuasive speech for Introduction to Public Speaking for the Spring 2021 semester. So the causes of heartworms is actually when a mosquito that bites a dog, a heartworm positive dog, and those heartworm larvae get into that mosquito that bit the dog. Mosquito goes on to bite a heartworm negative dog, and those larvae are deposited into that negative dog, heartworm negative dog, and then those larvae they grow up and gradually travel towards the heart and the lungs, and their life cycle re-begins. They grow up, start producing more larvae, and that now heartworm positive dog gets bit again by a mosquito, and the larvae that those adult heartworms have produced goes into the mosquito, and the mosquito goes on to again bite a heartworm negative dog. So the symptoms that happen when your dog does get heartworms is your dog will cough, your dog will have a bloated belly, your dog will have a decrease in labor or decrease in activities, or even labor in doing activities. He will have a decrease in appetite and a decrease in weight. So the picture to the left is actually a picture of a dog, an example of a dog coughing because of heartworms. They feel like they have something stuck in their throat because of the heartworms in their lungs, and they feel like they need to get it out, and that's what it sounds like, is they have something stuck in their throat, but really they don't. And to the right you have a picture of a healthy dog and a bloated dog. And this is one of the symptoms, like I said. So the bloated dog will actually look like he has to go to the bathroom, pee or poop really bad, but really there is fluid built up in his abdomen from the heartworms. And what's actually going on behind the scenes is the adult heartworms that are 6 to 12 inches long live in the heart and vessels in the lungs. The younger heartworms live in the bloodstream throughout the body, but the adult heartworms like to focus on the heart and the lungs. When the adult heartworms die, the body actually pushes the dead heartworms towards the lungs, and then they begin to decompose in those lungs. And that's actually what causes the coughing, like that I explained earlier. As the living adult heartworms are in the heart pushes them back and forth as it pumps back and forth throughout the arteries and the vessels, and that severely damages the arteries and the vessels, and this can lead to heart failure, which later leads to the bloated abdomen. The later stages of heartworms could be congestive heart failure because of a blockage that the heartworms are causing in the heart. It can cause loss in muscle mass and mobility. And this dog to the right, you can tell that, and he actually has congestive heart failure, but he severely has muscle mass loss, and I'm sure he's not as mobile as he used to be. And you can definitely tell that he has a very bloated abdomen, and you can't tell it by the video, but I'm sure he has coughing fits a lot just because of all of that fluid in his abdomen and what's going on inside of his body. And even in the severe stages of heartworms, it can cause death. What we do at the vet clinic to diagnose this is we get a blood sample, and we usually get the blood samples either at your dog's yearly checkup, or you come in and want to get them on a different heartworm preventive, or you get a new dog and want them to get on heartworm preventative. So we start by getting blood, then we put it in these snap tests, and we will put them in the machines, and it will tell us if your dog is heartworm positive or heartworm negative. But those tests only show us if your dog has heartworms that are 6 month or older. What we do to tell if your dog has heartworms that are younger are look in a microscope at your dog's blood. Just to drop your dog's blood and a little bit smeared onto a slide, and then put it under a microscope, and we look for little baby microfilaria is what they're called. And here's a video of some microfilaria swimming around in blood. If you look to the right there, and it's coming across the screen, these are actually red blood cells that you're looking at. And where they're moving pretty good right there in the middle of the screen, that's actually a microfilaria moving those red blood vessels around. And that's what we look for when we're looking for microfilaria in your dog. So if the test shows it's negative, but we see microfilaria, your dog is still positive. It's just that it's not as far as long enough for the actual test to come up. And this is the reason why we look at the blood under a microscope also. If your dog is positive, there are 2 ways to treat, but they are both very, very hard on the dog and on your wallet. But it's not impossible. Fast kill is very hard on the lungs, and even younger dogs are very affected by this. I've seen young dogs come in, blood work looks good, we give the shot, but all of those dead heartworms, like I said before, are dispersed in the lungs. And those heartworms have to decompose in the lungs. They can't be pooped out, they can't be coughed up, they have to decompose in your dog's lungs. So that causes coughing, and it damages the lungs. So we just want to make sure that your dog is on heartworm prevention, so that we don't have to go through this, and you don't have to go through this, and your dog doesn't have to go through this, and we can keep them as healthy as possible. And also, fast kill and both slow kill are very hard on your wallets. For fast kill, your dog has to be very restricted. He has to be in a kennel at all times. He can't run around. If he does, then since fast kill is hard on the lungs, that will cause him not to be able to breathe very well when he goes running around, and his lungs won't be able to keep up with him as he runs around. And fast kill, it only takes up to about 60 days to finish the rounds of 3 shots. But like I said, it's very hard on the lungs, and you have to keep your dog very confined. Fast kill is also the harder on your wallet. It's very expensive. You have to pay for blood work, you have to pay for the antibiotics, and also you have to pay for the round of 3 shots. The slow kill, however, is hard on the heart rather than lungs, because of those heartworms are in your dog's heart longer, and we're dispersing heartworms slower into the lungs as they die, instead of killing a bunch of them at once and then getting all dispersed into the lungs at once. With slow kill, we're waiting for those worms to die, so they're slowly decomposed instead of just dumping them all into the lungs. You do have to have the same round of antibiotics, but we don't do blood work. It takes up to 24 months to fully get rid of the heartworms. It is cheaper, but it's still more expensive than just getting heartworm prevention. And the dogs don't have to be restricted near as much because, like I said, it's not hard on the lungs, so they can do a little bit more than if they were on fast kill. There's several ways to prevent your dog from getting heartworms. It is easier on your dog and easier on your wallet to just prevent your dog from getting heartworms rather than treat it later. There are 2 different main kinds of heartworm prevention. There's a long-term, which are injections. The ProHeart 6 lasts 6 months, and the ProHeart 12 lasts 12 months. This is really good for people who have other people looking for their dogs, or you kind of forgetful. Maybe you're the main caretaker of the dog, but the dog lives with someone else, like your grandparent or something. This is really good. The only downside to them is that they do not take care of intestinal parasites like roundworms, tapeworms, any kind of intestinal parasite, or fleas and ticks. Then you have monthly preventative, which are usually topical or chewable tablets or treats. These are beef flavored treats or topical treats, and they go between the shoulders or in the mouth. The topical treat preventions are really good for smaller dogs that don't like treats and aren't very food motivated, but they all do different things and prevent for different things, but they all have heartworm preventative in them. And the monthly ones usually include intestinal parasites, fleas, or ticks. So to prevent your dog from having to go through the treatment or even going through having heartworms and having your dog's lungs and heart go through all of that trouble, we can just have your dog on a prevention that works really good for your dog and your family in whatever situation you're in, and prevent it rather than treat it later. And it's just easier on everyone, easier on everyone's wallet, easier on everyone's lungs and heart to just have heartworm prevention monthly or every 6 months or every 12 months. Thank you for listening. This is my persuasive speech for Introduction to Public Speaking, the spring 2021 semester. Thank you.